Hello, Dr. James Bogash, expert in health and longevity, and today we're going to talk about cardio. This is a conversation I have all the time because, quite frankly, the word is just not getting out, and yet the research continues to support this type of aerobic activity. Before I go on, make sure you like this video, share it with somebody you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel. So that being said, most people have heard of high-intensity interval training. We've heard of, everybody knows we need to do cardio, and what do we recommend? 30 minutes of walking 3 times a week. It's not enough. It is, let's put it this way, it's too much of not enough. And so the data just continues to support the idea of high-intensity interval training, and this study is just yet another one that promotes the idea that we are missing the point. Cardiovascular disease remains the #1 killer, period. We're not making the right exercise recommendations. Statins are not going to save us. We are doing the wrong things. Otherwise, we'd see drastic improvements in cardiovascular disease. So here's the thing that we're missing. There is something about hypoxia, running out of oxygen, that triggers your body to wake up and shape up. We know that, so let's say you run up a flight of stairs, and maybe there's a region of the heart that's a little bit blocked, doesn't quite have the blood flow it needs. That region of the heart gets a little upset, not damaged, but upset, and it will release mediators that tell that to build brand new plumbing. They're called collaterals. So we can actually build brand new plumbing in the heart. We've seen this in studies with people with obstructive sleep apnea. And so instead of waiting until you get sleep apnea, we can do this deliberately from an exercise standpoint. Look at most sports. They are all short bursts. Baseball's like all rest. If you're lucky, you get a little bit of a burst. Football, we can get the whole damn thing done in an hour if we didn't take breaks. Hockey, I've never played hockey, but it's my understanding you're on and off the ice. Soccer is probably the least short burst. Even being in the martial arts, fighting in the ring, and kickboxing, boxing, there are flurries. It may be a 3-minute round, but you've got flurries within that. Basketball, their short burst is probably shorter, but they're doing a whole bunch of them. You burst to the end of the court, you kind of hang around, and then you burst back. Why are we not getting this? Why do we think 30 minutes a week, or 30 minutes 3 times a week of walking is going to cut it when we don't see that in any other aspect of sports? They're all doing short bursts. So this was just yet another in the multitude of studies that points out the differences between high-intensity interval training and moderate intensity, like your typical sustained aerobic. This was in sedentary diabetic patients. Small study, there were 52 of them. Average age, what was the average age in there? But there were 39 females, 19 or 18 females. This was 18 males. A single episode of short burst. And here's the other thing that's kind of gotten diluted. I've seen studies where they, initially when we were talking about short burst, it was 30 seconds, all out intense. You can't do 45 seconds at that pace. Or if you're really deconditioned, maybe it's 15 seconds. If you've got COPD, which there are studies on COPD, and high-intensity interval training as a viable alternative. The key point is to run out of oxygen to where you can't go anymore. That's the intensity we're looking at. So, but somehow we've gotten into, high intensity being included like 2 or 3 minutes of higher intensity, but we call it high intensity. That's not what we're talking about here. We have to hit that point of hypoxia that triggers the body to fix itself, to make the system more efficient. So in this study, their high intensity was 10 sessions of 30 seconds at 85 to 100% of maximal heart rate. This is more what I recommend. This is what I'll do on my elliptical. Certainly in jiu-jitsu and kickboxing, we have a lot of this same aspect of really winning yourself out where you can't go any longer. And then the moderate intensity was for 30 minutes at 60 to 70% of maximal heart rate. So that's more of, I guess it's even me being on a treadmill. That's not even just walking around the block. It's a little bit more intense. But they looked at two factors. They looked at basically how healthy were the blood vessels, looking at something called flow-mediated dilation. We want flow-mediated dilation to be better, more responsive. And it more than doubled in the short burst group versus the sustained aerobic. Blood glucose was lower in the in the short burst than it was in the moderate intensity. Just another study that suggests that we really need to reevaluate the aerobic recommendations we are giving to people. We need to challenge the body. We need to run out of oxygen. We need to hit that hypoxic point in a deliberate manner rather than waiting until we have a heart attack or waiting until you develop sleep apnea or something along those lines. So, as always, I will post the link to this particular study in the description. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.